the 10-year anniversary of NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, New York 2015. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the show where women's wrestling truly changed forever. The NXT Women's Championship match featuring Sasha Banks versus Bayley. And as well on the show, we've got a ladder match for the NXT Championship, Finn Bálor taking on Kevin Owens. Quite a historic show. A lot of people around this time period got into NXT as well, and the takeovers became a big deal after this. NXT, welcome to the video. The clues in the name for you should be right up for this.
Yeah, man, this is all that NXT Black and Gold era is my thing. It is my jam. It is my source. It's what I love. This show, if you look at it structurally, though, is a perfect show. You have a Hall of Famer in a match. You have a tag team match that's half decent. You have some title changes. You have a gimmick match. You have two main event quality matches. Quality, though, unfortunately, is a bit where we kind of dip, unfortunately, because of the 6 matches, I think only 2 have really got any sustenance to them, unfortunately. But I think, yeah, look, if Triple H booked more PLEs, like the structure of how this is played out, this card is laid out, I think WWE would be so much better, because there is literally something for everyone on this card.
Yeah, there really is a lot of something for everyone. It's kind of like you say, it's very well structured the way it's put together. And the thing is, as well, this is still early NXT as well, so takeovers are only going to get better and better and better from this stage. And NXT TakeOver Brooklyn would go on to have 4 editions every night before SummerSlam after this. So clearly, this one made its mark and made its statement. Like you said, the two main event matches in particular really do stand out. So look forward to diving into them. We will probably talk a little bit shorter on the other 4 matches as well, but still it should be a fun time. For those that just need a reminder of the card, is Jushin Thunder Liger, yes, from New Japan, taking on Tyler Breeze. We've got Blake and Murphy with Alexa Bliss taking on the Vault Villains with Blue Pants. That's for the NXT Tag Team Championships. We've got Apollo Crews against Ty Dillinger, Samoa Joe going against Baron Corbin, the NXT Women's Championship match. Can't wait to talk about that. Sasha Banks versus Bayley, and of course the NXT Championship in the ladder match of Finn Bálor versus Kevin Owens. So yeah, pretty much let's dive into a bit of the details. Like I say, 10-year anniversary. At the time of recording, we are releasing this a few days earlier than that. The 10-year anniversary is on August the 22nd, 2015. Of course, taking place in Brooklyn, New York. The clues in the name. The venue is the Barclays Center, a beautiful venue, if I do say so myself. And attendance on the night was 15,589, with the tagline of this show being the Battle for Brooklyn. The commentary team on this was Rich Brennan, Corey Graves, and Byron Saxton. First question I had for you there, NXT, when I first saw this was, who's Rich Brennan? Completely forgot he existed. But not a bad job on commentary for the night.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, but he, I just think for me, he's no more Ranella, let's be honest. He didn't really do anything to sort of, I don't know, set himself out really as a play-by-play commentator, but otherwise, okay, job really, I have no qualms. I am not a fan of the 3-man booth. Byron Saxton isn't my favourite 3rd man on the booth. But otherwise, no problems with it. Corey Graves, again, very early days for him as well, so he really hasn't sort of established his kind of colour commentary position and what he's so good at nowadays. So again, this is all like early days. Like I said, early days NXT, early days commentaries, but I had no problem with that now.
Absolutely not. And that's the beauty of NXT, because everyone kind of was doing their thing, wasn't it? Like, you were kind of establishing the roster, getting people ready for Raw and SmackDown. That was included with the commentary team as well. Unfortunately for Rich Brennan, he didn't kind of make the jump to a Raw SmackDown, but of course Byron Saxton and Corey Graves, household names that we do see on a weekly basis still to this day. The theme song for the show, Sleeping with Sirens, We Like It Loud. Certainly was a loud theme. Quite like that theme as well.
It was all right. Not my kettle of fish or not my cup of tea, but it was all right. Not going to complain.
Not going to complain either. It screamed what NXT and TakeOver was, certainly in the time period. But certainly something you didn't expect for NXT TakeOver at the time period at that point was a New Japan star to kick off the show with a match against Tyler Breeze. Jushin Thunder Liger. In all your time of watching wrestling, did you ever think you'd see Jushin Thunder Liger in an NXT TakeOver?
Do you know what? He's the kind of guy that I feel like I've seen in WWE or WCW like 100 times before, but I just had a quick look while he was talking, and like, this is his only WWE appearance apparently, and like, against Tyler Breeze on an NXT TakeOver, this is such a random spot. I mean, look, this is basically the first ever Forbidden Door, really, but just such a weird spot to have someone of his heritage and like his caliber come in. And hey, props for Tyler Breeze to be the only person to face someone from New Japan at this point. It's just, what an honor, man.
Absolutely. I mean, Jushin Thunder Liger is an absolute legend. Yeah, WCW days would see him appear quite a bit. I remember Cody Rhodes speaking many times, seeing aura of seeing Liger backstage as well, obviously, being some of the early WCW times. Around 1992 period, I remember seeing matches with likes of perhaps Brian Pillman, for example, on some of the special pay-per-views that they did. But yeah, I was shocked that he was never brought back for another appearance after this. Could you imagine Liger in the Royal Rumble, for example? That could have been a lot of fun to see for the main roster, and a pop from the main crowd against Vince McMahon probably felt like that not well known enough, it's not going to work. But hey, he did settle for AJ Styles in 2016. I think that turned out pretty darn well. But going into this match then anyway, with Thunder Liger and Tyler Breeze. Tyler Breeze had his special entrance, of course, the catwalk, if you will, with a few women dressed up with like New York as kind of themes, Statue of Liberty amongst others. They kind of was like a Temu version of Empire State of Mind. It was like a singing rap combination going on as well before Tyler's music hit. But getting into the match, there was a few spots I quite liked from it. Obviously, it was a monkey flip from Jushin Thunder Liger from the corner. That meant that Jushin could actually grab Breeze's selfie stick and take a selfie of himself. There was a supermodel kick, though, to give Breeze the advantage. A couple of unique bits of offense from Breeze, and one I particularly liked was the backstabber whilst holding Liger's arm across his neck, so kind of clotheslined himself whilst going down into the backbreaker. Only got a 2 count for his effort. Liger would get back into the match with a spinning heel kick into the corner, but then actually miss a splash. Breeze getting the knees up, but Liger then would actually hit his shote, which of course is kind of like the arm sort of going with an uppercut, and that actually sent Breeze to the floor. Liger then hit a senton from the apron to the floor onto Breeze, and then hit his Liger bomb for the pinfall victory. For those keeping score at home, is a running power bomb. Your thoughts of the opening match?
I mean, it's okay. I was kind of disappointed in the fact that you have someone like a Jushin Thunder Liger in this spot, and it was just okay. I mean, I presume this is like again, I don't know whether this is trying to get Tyler Breeze over more, facing someone of a Thunder Liger's caliber, and obviously Breeze is so over with that character at this point that I don't know. I felt like we could have got something more out of this. This felt slightly better than TV quality, which is a shame, but it was okay. It was a decent opening match. I'm not going to critique it. I just honestly think that if you've got this one opportunity to bring in a New Japan star, they really should have made this a bigger deal, and I don't know, just maybe promote it better, or I don't know, have some sort of story for it really. But apart from that, I just thought it was like slightly better than an average match.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair on this one, I mean, Liger's past his prime. I mean, Liger been going for decades wrestling. Yeah. He does go on for another few years before he does eventually retire. But yeah, it's not, if you want to see some of the Liger's best work, obviously New Japan is the place to go for it. But if you want to see it with the American market, probably 90s WCW is probably the place, and it's the early 90s as well. But yeah, ultimately, I think it's a fun pop for the crowd. It's a really special one-off appearance. It's something that I think is one of those few bits of ingredients that you see with Triple H's booking then that you see now. Obviously trying to reach out and do different things, working with different markets and promotions. Now this Forbidden Door thing, which was, AEW trying to make popular with New Japan now, but obviously WWE are doing this with the likes of TNA, for example. We've seen Joe Hendry obviously appear on WrestleMania this year. We even see with the name of the show, TakeOver Brooklyn. How many times now do we see with Triple H that we actually get this, idea of like, we see the show is taking place somewhere, but then the location is slotted right in. We're on the road right now to Clash in Paris instead of Clash at the Castle. We see Backlash France, Backlash Puerto Rico. It's a very common trait that actually Triple H is looking to do this, and he does the same with NXT. Later in this show, he explains how NXT is going to the UK and have a takeover in London late in December. So it's kind of like trying to do all these ideas in the international market, but it was done 10 years ago. So Triple H was arguably testing waters back then as well.
Yeah, but mean, look, this was what was so special about NXT was the way that Triple H promoted these. Just on a quick mention in Mitchell London, I can't wait to review that because that's just such a great show in itself. But yeah, it was his own spin, and this is what I loved about NXT was like it was. Even if you look at how this is produced, it's all dark. The ring is like, this is what I mean. This is how you can tell the product is so different now. Like I noticed this at one point that the ropes are white, the ring is black, the sides are black. There's minimal sponsors, like not having to see a table with the words. God, I can't think of the sponsor by now. The Slim Jim plastered on it. Like this is such a down to earth wrestling product. And then yeah, like you said, the fact that he starts introducing it with names, and it's kind of like. This was almost like they were trying to integrate it into almost like a boxing kind of feel, because he's taken bits from different things like UFC and boxing, and he's trying to mesh them. Because obviously, before the main event as well, you see something we quite commonly see now is we see KO making his way to the ring is like almost like a boxing entrance kind of thing, and it's just the way that the product was so different and so fresh. And I mean, this is the way it was presented is just one of the reasons why I loved NXT so much. It wasn't all about Snickers sponsoring and Slim Jim sponsoring this, and do you know what I mean, Mountain Dew dark matches and all that kind of stuff. It was just purely down to wrestling. And like I said, I just loved it, man. Just the general presentation and feel of it. It was just so, I almost want to say old school. It was just wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely, it was indeed. And yeah, I mean, I love the simplistic presentation of this show. Like you say, sometimes less is more, and it certainly does stand out. And obviously, when you go back into this match, yes, okay, it doesn't necessarily set the world alight, but it sets a tone for the evening. The crowd are quite hyped for having dare I say, like this door opening of someone from another promotion getting that sort of special appearance. Obviously, Tyler Breeze taking another loss. This was his fourth loss on the TakeOver, only one victory in TakeOver history at that point. Of course, beating, I believe it was Sami Zayn on the second NXT TakeOver that they did. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, this was okay. It wasn't the best match, but for me, I'm going to give it a 2.5 star.
I gave it 2.25. I think the fact that you've got Liger in there, I think my biggest gripe is that you've got Liger in there and your star isn't going over, which I think is a bit criminal because, like you said, Liger's a bit past it, and Breeze is this new star that they're trying to build. So why he's taking a loss, I'll never know. But 2.25, I gave it.
Just looking at Dave Meltzer's rating for it, to give this one a 2-star rating. We move on in the meantime, and we see that Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and X-Pac are in the crowd giving support for Triple H and NXT. We've got a vignette for Nia Jax that greatness is in her destiny, and she's not like most girls. You can argue that greatness has been in her destiny. She's still around 10 years later. But we move on then to the NXT Tag Team Championships on the line. The champions Blake and Murphy with Alexa Bliss going against the Vaude Villains, and Alexa Bliss getting on the mic and saying that they couldn't find anyone to help the Vaude Villains. That's because they're pathetic and losers. And of course, Vaude Villains turn to the entranceway and introduce Blue Pants to the arena, which got a massive pop from the Brooklyn crowd. So a bit of backstory for this one. Alexa Bliss was the deciding factor why Blake and Murphy retained the tag team championships against the Vaude Villains in an NXT taping. So that's why we have the support of Blue Pants here. Of course, that is Layla Bates, if I'm not mistaken. Layla Bates from AEW.
Lever Bates, yeah. The librarian.
Yes, the librarian. So yeah, that's who that is. And of course, she massively got over with Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, better known as Big Kaz. Of course, Big Kaz is doing the entrance theme for her as well, which is kind of like a game show kind of vibe to it as well. So that's a bit of a fun factor as well. But going into the match itself, a couple of fun spots from the match. I quite liked Aiden English. He was thrown up really high in the air in like a back suplex and caught into a neck breaker for a 2 count. Aiden hits his swanton bomb on Murphy for a 2 count, but of course, yeah, let's say the kick out came there. Alexa Bliss trying to get in the ring could be the difference once again, but Blue Pants takes out Bliss this time, which means the Vaude Villains have no one to stop them from winning the tag team titles and hit their Whirly Dervish for the victory, which of course is like an uppercut to the back of the neck followed by a neck breaker for the 3 count.
Look, the one plus to take out of this is how much better Bliss has got promos in 10 years, because that was a very, very, I don't know how to cut a promo, but Yeah, this was fun. Blake and Murphy with their obnoxious dubstep entrance music, which used to grind my gears because I used to hate dubstep music. The Vaudevillains, won't lie, not my favorite gimmick, but I didn't realize how over these guys were with such a gimmick, and I'd like props to them. I think that if you can get an 1800 circus act character gimmick over in NXT, props to you, man. I think they did really well. They're like almost a comedic presentation, but I remember them mostly being heels, but this was just fun to see from the Vaudevillains. And yeah, like I said, it's not an easy character to get over, but they did it well. Few high spots in the match. Blake Murphy not wearing shorts as well. Again, that kind of threw me off because I'm again too used to modern day Buddy Murphy, sorry. God, Blake Murphy. Yeah, but the general, just weird things that's a throwback that they never used to do. But again, better than the opening match. I think this was a better like sort of progression in terms of match quality, decent tag team match, title change, which is always a plus. I said this is a well structured show for like everything that's on this card.
Yeah, I think it's well structured. I think this is a standard tag team match. I think that's the best way to put it. I don't think it's anything that excels, but everyone has their role, they have a story to tell, and they deliver it well enough. And I think that's something that's certainly a positive on it. And like you said, the entrances certainly were chalk and cheese. I thought it was a lot of fun watching the Vaudevillains come with their sort of, like you say, 1800 style gimmick to the ring, getting a massive, props from the crowd. Blake and Murphy's dubstep one almost gave me a migraine, not just to the music, but the camera cuts as well, just all the time in the wrong places were just
janky as anything in it.
Yeah, it wasn't a sight for eyes, unfortunately. But and Bliss as a manager was an interesting prospect as well. And I do remember she actually starts competing a bit more in ring after this. So she's the first challenger for Bayley for the NXT Women's Championship. Spoiler if you haven't seen it. But then while you're watching the review, yeah, obviously. For me, I feel that, like you say, Bliss massively improves, and she improves very quickly as well, because it's a year from now she gets her called up to SmackDown as well, and only about less than 15 months she's SmackDown Women's Champion.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. But just the fact that Blake and Murphy get left behind and just don't even bother leaving NXT, they clearly saw money in Alexa Bliss back then. But yeah, just to get again. The evolution of Alexa Bliss in 10 years is like obviously very easy to see, and like I said, the promo is very green, like it's not very good. It's case, I don't like you, you're the bad guy. I don't know how else to describe this without being more enthusiastic and passionate. But it's nice to see where we've come in 10 years.
Absolutely, indeed. Star rating?
2 3/4. I thought this was a lot more fun. They had crowd engagement. I thought this was a fun tag team match, and like it's a title change as well. Again, it's going to score an extra quarter mark from me.
2.5 for me. I thought this was, like I said, standard sort of TV quality, but I still felt that it was quite fun, so it gets the extra bump from me. Looking at Dave Meltzer's rating, 2.25 star rating. We move on in the meantime, and of course that means we get to another match. And this one, Apollo Crews versus Ty Dillinger, the Perfect 10, of course better known as Sean Spears at this point. Not really much in notes from this match. It's only a few minutes long compared to the others. Basically, Apollo Crews wins with a gorilla press slam and a standing moonsault for the pin. My only note that I've got from this match is these two haven't got much further up the card since then.
No, in fact, again, this is just the unfortunate thing with Apollo Crews. He was so good and so athletic and so good in ring that they never gave him a chance to really develop any character, and they rushed him up, and he's kind of just sat in catering. Like, I was sitting there thinking, like, if you put Apollo Crews in the New Day now, I think he'd do so well. I think the fact that he'd have Kofi and Woods to help carry him for promos, but he's a guy he's kind of like a mini Big E, but is still able to do half the aerial stuff that Woods can do. I think he benefited from so much more. But yeah, look, on the plus side, Spears has left the company, come back again and be the North American champion. So I believe he's been North American champion or tag team champion, one of the two. I know he's been a champion at some point. But I was never a big Ty Dillinger fan in general. I thought it was a very cheap pop, especially when they use him in the Rumble as the number 10 entrance. It's a cheap gimmick to try and plug, but I think Sean Spears works out as just a much better character.
Yeah, he does indeed. Yeah, I prefer Sean Spears to Ty Dillinger as well at this point. Apollo Crews has been IC champion and US champion as well, by the way. So yeah, it's just the fact that where you look at them now at this particular time, they kind of not really from where they are. Unfortunately,
I can't even remember the last time we saw Apollo Crews on TV.
It's a shame. He's a talented performer. I'd like to see more of him on TV.
Very good.
I liked him when he was a heel as well. I think that would be a fun way to bring him back personally. But hey, what do I know?
Nigerian drum match aside,
we take the gimmick match out of it, but certainly a bit more presence going on about him for sure. But looking at Dave Meltzer's rating, I happen to agree with this one, 1.5 star.
I give it a 2. I thought Polo had a good display. Like I think he had 2 televised matches before this, and for it being a takeover match, I thought I'd give him a 2.
Absolutely, indeed. We move on in the meantime, and we have an announcement that we're going to get because in 2015, around this time, Dusty Rhodes unfortunately left us at that period. There was the announcement from William Regal that we would get the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, which of course is something that's continued in WWE ever since. I think there's been quite a few of them over recent years, so fun that they'd actually introduced the first one here at this point. And of course, as well on this moment as well, we see Tough Enough finalists in the front row as well, and one of those was one Mandy Rose. Did you happen to notice it there?
Yeah, I spotted Mandy Rose. The only one I actually think ever made it to main roster, because I don't ever remember seeing the other 3 ever again. I know the one on the right. I remember the Tough Enough series he was in when there was a lot of critique of him and his work ethic, but to still make it as a finalist, they had a lot of hope for him. But Mandy was the only one that made it.
Yep, she was indeed. Yeah, couldn't tell you the names of the other ones. That's how much they.
I think it was the guy on the right, the big guy. I can't remember the other 2 finalists.
No, unfortunately not either. We move on though to Samoa Joe versus Baron Corbin, a hard-hitting affair between these two. There's a video package as well. Corbin not being here for the fans, is here for himself. He says he's not self-entitled like these other indie ones that have been around the world, but he can do what the others can do. But he said, look, they all did what they did to get to WWE. He simply made a phone call. Joe said there's one difference. They called him. And then obviously we did these 2 land finishers on each other as well with the video package. Did you enjoy the video package?
I appreciated it. It was it's the first time we get something like that really gives sort of sustenance to a story. Joe is fantastic regardless. Any promo you give him, he'll knock it out of the park. It's a shame that he's currently starring in Twisted Metal and it's not him doing the voice of the character, but it's him playing the clown guy. But I love Samoa Joe, man. He's just so animated and he will always knock a promo out of the park.
Certainly does indeed. We go into the match itself. We see obviously Corbin being thrown into the barricade on the floor. Of course, Corbin with his such cool moveset, the deep 6 never gets boring. He lands a double-handed chokeslam onto Joe. Joe kicks out on 2, and as he pretty much pushes Corbin off, Corbin flips and ends up landing himself into the Kikita clutch. And of course, that's where Samoa Joe picks up the victory. Your thoughts on the match between these 2?
Wrong decision, in my opinion. I thought the match was really good, but I think that the whole point was this was meant to be Baron Corbin's real first big test in NXT. And I know it's Samoa Joe, but if you want to build Baron Corbin, he needs to win this match. But again, it was inevitable that if Samoa Joe, he's going to choke the guy out. I think Baron Corbin's character work in the match was really good. I hate to say it, but he's someone I really miss at WWE because he's a guy that you can throw into a position of like an intermittent heel for a baby face, and I think he does a fantastic job. But otherwise, back to this, just think it was wrong result, unfortunately, but I did enjoy it.
Did enjoy it. I agree, wrong result, because I think that if this is, I would actually going to differ that. Right match, wrong time. This is the big fight feel for a Brooklyn crowd, and it feels well done, but this almost knocked the wheels off of Baron Corbin and his character, and I think he should have continued with that momentum against some of the indie darlings and then probably lost just before being called up to main roster. I think this match should have took place in Dallas on the WrestleMania weekend, like a few months later. So that's my personal feeling with it. But of course, by that point, Samoa Joe was in the main event challenging for the NXT Championship.
Yeah, no, these guys should have had a series of matches, and they should have, Corbin should have got this first win, Joe should have got one back, and they inevitably should have had a third rubber match that would have ended up with a build. But I think, Corbin needed the win more in this one.
I would agree. Perhaps maybe even TakeOver Respect could have been the place for that rubber match as well. Would have been an interesting way to go.
Yeah.
What would be your star rating for the match?
I gave it 2 3/4. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I just think it was the wrong decision.
Yeah, for me, I gave it a 2.5 star rating. Thought that the match was fine, but I've seen that Dave Meltzer agrees with you with 2 3/4 star rating.
Yeah,
cool, nice. Well, we move on in the meantime, and we see Kana at ringside along with Ric Flair and Sergeant Slaughter. Kana would actually soon enter WWE, better known to us today as Asuka. Fun to see her in the crowd. I forgot NXT usually used to point people out in the crowd, and not just legends, but future superstars as well. Was it fun to see Kana in the crowd?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for me at that time, you're kind of like, I don't know a lot of Japanese wrestling. I'm pretty sure there was probably more fans and more excited by it at the time, but look, she comes in and makes her own name and goes undefeated in NXT, so it works out all right for her in the end.
Certainly does indeed. Yeah, for me, I kind of would have been the same at that point. I would have been like, not sure who you are, but now pretty cool with it as well. And maybe there could have been a link in that with the signing of Kana, aka Asuka, to WWE, because as mentioned, Jushin Thunder Liger on this show, showing the treatment of bringing in someone from Japan, giving them a good showing, putting them over as well. Maybe that's something that was perhaps a negotiation sealer, perhaps maybe just showing it's right to sign with us here in NXT. We're going to look after you well. Yeah,
possibly. Like I said, we'll never know, but yeah, it is a possibility.
Certainly is a possibility. Stephanie McMahon comes out for us next, and she's going to present the first of a double main event, of course, saying that the women don't just deserve the main event, they are the main event. We started a Divas Revolution, and thankfully that will go on to become a Women's Revolution, of course, with the likes of Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks all being called up to main roster. But of course, that meant one of them still held the NXT Women's Championship, Sasha Banks, and of course, she will be defending against Bayley. This come with a tasty video package, of course, of the 4 horsewomen wanted to change wrestling, seeing the likes of Bayley being attacked by Charlotte and Becky Lynch. Everyone was called up, like we said, to the main roster apart from Bayley. And of course, she had actually broken her hand as well. She was off TV for a couple of months. Sasha says, well, boo-hoo. The biggest difference is I've got the championship. Bayley is back, though, after that injury, and she says she wants to be champ, and she says that she has to beat the best, which is why she challenges Charlotte Flair. She wins that match, of course, with the Bayley to Bayley for the second rope. Regal then gives Bayley another opportunity in the number 1 contenders match, this time against Becky Lynch, and Bayley wins again. Bayley will prove that she's good enough to do this, including to her mum, who keeps coming to championship matches to see her lose. I thought this was really well put together video package, really set the tone nicely. Bayley has been going for the title for the longest time, can't get the job done. This is just perfect to get the crowd right behind her in this match and establishes Sasha further as the heel.
Yeah, I mean, as well, with how it's portrayed and how WWE likes to do it, you'd think that they'd done this package and this run where, like you said, she'd beaten Sasha, she'd beaten Becky for a number 1 contenders. You almost felt like Bayley was going to lose this with how the build was going. And this does, like I said, this gets you into a mindset of where you think you're mentally prepared for Bayley to lose. And I think that's why when she does win, spoiler alert, it's such a bigger moment, because I don't think many people are actually expecting her to win this match.
Absolutely not, and that's the thing. Around that time period, there's been multiple times that we've seen. I mean, Kevin Owens came up from main roster as NXT champion during the summer and held the title for a little while. We'd seen the likes of Paige holding the Divas and NXT Women's Championship at the same time, so it wasn't uncommonplace to see the NXT champions still be on Raw and SmackDown at that point. So you make a valid argument there for that. But the match, yeah, fantastic in my personal opinion. Going to throw out my personal highlights in this 18-minute classic. Bayley landing a spring springboard elbow drop while Sasha's in the tree of woe in the corner. Sasha fails to land her knees onto Bayley, who's laying in the corner on a couple of occasions on the second rope. So Sasha puts her on the top rope eventually when getting the advantage, going to the top rope herself to land those knees. Sasha exposes Bayley's injured hand, takes the protectiveness off of it, and of course, as mentioned, it was recently broken. Sasha then traps Bayley's hand in between the ring steps and the LED board and kicks the steps. Not gonna lie, I winced. Sasha then dived over the referee to land on top of Bayley on the floor. Sasha then puts on the bank statement, and as Bayley looks to get close to those ropes, Sasha's repeatedly stomping on Bayley's injured hand. How she didn't tap out, we'll never know, I suppose because the hand was broken. But Bayley then reverses and gets a bank statement in of her own, and Sasha gets to the ropes. For this point, we see Bayley actually pull Sasha back up to both feet and hit Bayley to belly. Gets a 2 count from that exchange. Of course, the crowd really bought into that one. Bayley then goes for a top rope hurricanrana, but Sasha pushes her off. Not gonna lie, looked a bit nasty. Bayley looked like she landed on her head, but didn't stop her though from getting back up. A meteor from the top rope from Sasha Banks only gets a 2 count, with both women then fighting on the top rope, and Bayley landing a reverse Rana, landing beautifully into the middle of the ring, and then Bayley hits Bayley to belly one more time to pick up the victory. And of course, after this match, all 4 horsewomen are in the ring together, and yes, there are hugs, there are celebrations, and there are the 4 horsewomen salute as well. NXT, I don't think I need to sell this. I think this was extraordinary.
Yeah, this is fantastic. This is kind of, like you said this earlier, this is really the eye-opener for women's wrestling, and this is just fun. Like, you don't see many women's matches that are this quality for that time period, and this is really, like, this sets the bar for everyone else. Aside from, like you said, Bayley almost spiking herself off a hurricanrana reversal, this is great story, great chemistry. The use of the hand, and when Sasha has her in the bank statement and kicking the hand, is such a great spot. The crowd buying into all the near falls. This is such a well executed match, and like I said, this is 10 years ago, and you can, like, we've seen so many better matches since. But you kind of have to sit there and think that maybe this is like like I said, this is the birthplace, the benchmark for women's wrestling is kind of from this match onwards. Like, this is such an important match in terms of women's wrestling history, like, where everyone kind of goes where from the Divas area, where it's a bit of a joke and it's discredited because it's like they're divas and they're not wrestlers. This kind of goes, right, we're here now, we're serious. The level and the bar just got raised. So true with that. I mean, the thing is, if you look through women's wrestling and you look at that moment as well, because like you said, the Divas era is going on Raw, 2-minute matches, bathroom breaks, not important on the show. Give Divas a chance for something that was being screamed out. Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha had all been called up at that point to Monday Night Raw, and then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, these are the big names from NXT, that little show that where Triple H is producing, and then they have this chance to have this marquee moment, this marquee match, and they were explained before the match started, they are the main event, they don't just deserve it, they are it. And it's kind of like one of those moments where everyone's got the rise on, well, this is what women's wrestling is all about in NXT. We now get to see this flavor for the first time for a lot of people, and then they go out and they produce that, like you say, the emotion, the storytelling, the fact that you had that fantastic video package beforehand that just lays the table perfectly to give them nearly 20 minutes as well instead of 2 minutes to actually go and breathe and tell that story, to have some high risk, high spots in the match from just brutal spots as well. You really felt the heel side of the boss Sasha Banks as well, as she's coming to the ring as well, in the Range Rover as well. Just, they set the table perfectly with everything on how they wanted to do every layer in that match, and it just knocked it out of the park. And if you look at the timeline of women's wrestling, yeah, you have the stuff that goes on in the 80s and the your Mae Youngs, your Fabulous Moolahs, but you go through the 90s, like Alundra Blaze is champion, but then they kind of just get rid of the whole division. It doesn't exist anymore for years. When it does come back, like you say, where it's all about Jerry Lawler screaming puppies, for example, and then 2 minute matches. But if you look at the timeline, there's one match that really stands out: Trish and Lita 2004 Monday Night Raw main event. I think it was December 6th.
6 of that year as well. You fast forward to then, obviously, NXT Arrival, Paige and Emma, obviously, that was the real first sort of breakout moment for that. You get to
Mickey James, Trish at WrestleMania as well. I'll get over an honorable mention too, because I thought that was one of the real matches where I turned around and, do you know what? The women can have a good match.
They certainly could indeed. That's certainly one to give a shout out to as well. But like, you go then to this match, which moves you forward then to when we actually get a main roster pay-per-view main event, Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, Hell in a Cell. You can move it forward then because it becomes to a WrestleMania main event. Yes, it's perhaps not the best match, but it's Becky, it's Charlotte, it's Ronda Rousey, and then it's a follow-up with another WrestleMania main event, Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. And when you look at that timeline then, as you go on further then, now it's like women's pay-per-views, Evolution as well. There's women's Royal Rumbles, Elimination Chambers. Everything has spiraled through from what we have now. We have the strongest women's division probably we've ever seen at this particular time. And Triple H in WWE Unreal has said the sentence that for every one guy that gets this, there is 5 women who get it. The ratio of women coming through right now on the PC is ridiculous. And it's just great to see how women's wrestling is thriving. And you could argue that a lot of people go back and say, this is the match that got them and made them want to do this. This is the moment that made them the fan, that made them say, this is my dream. And to be honest, for no other reason than just it's a fantastic match in itself and probably deserves it anyway, but for the importance of it, I can't give this any lower than 5 stars.
Yeah, I wouldn't have said and gave it 5. And do you know what? I'm going to knock it slightly, and this is no fault on their own. I think if Triple H had put this as the main event, and had confidence to put it as the main event, this probably would have got a 5 stars. I think 4 3/4 for me is gonna be my. And it's not down to them or the match itself. I just think that if Triple H had the balls, the confidence, the cojones to just go, do you know what? I'm gonna put this as the main event. Do you know what I mean? I think this would have been that point where, like, this would have even cemented this more as that point. It is a 5-star quality match, but I'm going to knock it down just for a quarter because it's not the main event. And like I said, it's nothing on what they did. It's just purely on the booking of the card because this is the match of the night. Yeah,
there's no question on it. We're jumping ahead, but yeah, it is the match of the night. Yeah. Nothing comes close, in my opinion. Dave Meltzer gives this a 4.5-star rating. Like I said, it is fair with those ratings, but for me, when I add the importance levels to it, that is also
100%. Yeah,
I've got to do it.
In hindsight, yeah, if you add all that, it's a 5-star match, 100%.
Certainly indeed. But let's move on then to the other big talking points probably of the show. This NXT Championship ladder match, Finn Bálor versus Kevin Owens. Of course, Finn Bálor, the champion, after winning the title, of course, Beast in the East in Japan. KO, of course, says he would fight anyone and everyone. He destroyed Sami Zayn. He's taken out on multiple different superstars, including John Cena, of course, hitting power bombs on the aprons and stuff like that. But after losing to the Demon Finn Bálor in Japan, Owens says that he now needs that title and wants a rematch in the ladder match. Balor accepts and KO proves himself to be more dangerous than ever, actually giving Finn pop-up power bombs. He cuts a promo on the ladder, KO saying how he's going to win the title and leave Finn laying on the floor with doctors. The lights go out and Finn is back on the second turnbuckle, and of course then he promises to kick his ass and shut his mouth. I thought it was a decent enough video package. Again, nice to set the table before we have the match here.
Yeah, I think as well with this, the fact that we got the NXT title change in Japan was again such a fresh outlook because it's not very often that we see major like top titles change hands outside of the US. So to go halfway around the world and force such a title change, sure, it kind of makes sense with Balor just coming from New Japan and that being a Japanese crowd who know him. It kind of is almost a given, but the fact that they do it again just re-emphasizes the point of what NXT is meant to be. It's meant to be, look, these things can happen anywhere and everywhere. And the build itself, the KO, who's been on this incredible run, because I think he's only in NXT for about 6 months in total before he's already on the main roster. And for the fact for him to get in the whole Sami Zayn run, winning the NXT Championship, then facing Finn Bálor, it's just like going at 100 miles an hour this 6 month period. But to get this time, and for this championship. Like, it's not the best looking championship because we all know it's this one right here, because that X is a god awful ugly belt, but it's just, like I said, it's a fantastic build, and it's the main event, rightly so, because obviously it is the top title. But look, I digress. We can sit here and argue all day about Bayley and Sasha being the main event.
True, and it probably should have been in hindsight. But that's not to say that this match wasn't good. Let's go through some of the top details for you. Owens trapping Balor with a ladder against the apron. Of course, he looks like he's going to run up to do a cannonball up that ladder, but instead just hits a punch. Classic KO with his we'll say a bit of banter, shall we say, with the crowd. Owens throws Balor over the announcer's table, then takes the top of the table to throw it at Balor's head. Balor then jumps over the broadcast table, hits a drop kick onto a ladder that KO had just taken out from under the ring, but the ladder actually, as well as hitting KO, lands on Balor as well. KO cannonballs himself into a ladder in the corner with Finn Bálor moving out of the way. Obviously, Balor hits coup de grace. Owens then pulls Balor off the ladder into a powerbomb, probably my favorite spot of that match. Also, we see Balor lift the ladder with Owens on top, but of course he just lets it drop, so Owens goes flying down into the ring. Owens then does a pop-up powerbomb to Balor to the ring apron on the floor. Owens is knocked off the top of the ladder, of course then lands onto another ladder which is connected between the standing ladder and the turnbuckle. Balor hits a coup de grace from the top of the ladder, and then Balor grabs the title. Fantastic match, really enjoyed this one, but there's one spot that I've not mentioned that I particularly wanted to highlight because I know it's an NXT special. KO wanted to do the powerbomb to Finn Bálor onto a ladder that was standing sideways in the middle of the ring. And of course, Kevin Owens, as the trooper that he always is, takes a back body drop onto that. Definitely, it's hideous to look at. But, probably one of the spots of this match.
Yeah, it's almost like a Kofi recovering and getting back into the Rumble kind of thing. Well, KO in a ladder he's bound to do a stupid spot where he ends up landing on that side of the ladder. It's it's rough, man. Like I wince every time. Look, this dude. Even before this match starts, KO has won me over as such a one of my Mount Rushmores. Like the fact that a Demon gets this wonderful entrance, he gets into the ring. What's KO doing? He's stolen Corey Graves' chair. He's just sitting in the corner. He doesn't care, just nonchalant about it. And I'm like, oh, KO, you are genuinely the best. He makes me laugh so much because he's the embodiment of me in wrestling. Really, it's just like, are we done with the smoke and the mirrors and the face paint and all this kind of stuff? But yeah, look, this is fantastic. The power bomb onto the apron, obviously, which is what took Sammy out, and it's just such an entertaining match. I love this. It's a shame that it didn't really if you'd have put Sammy in this place instead of Balor, this probably would have got a higher marking from me. But when you're going up against Sasha and Bayley, who are these friends that have been going around for the longest, it's not ultimately going to get there in terms of, I don't know, not really story, but maybe sentimental feeling for the match. But otherwise, I think this is great. I loved it. The Demon being booked strong, Jesus, how long? I forget the last time we even see the Demon, but just forgetting that the Demon never used to lose. It was just such a shock and a pleasant thing to see. But thoroughly entertaining. I gave this 4 1/4. Like I said, I think this was missing the sentimental, emotional connection for me, but I loved this all the same.
Yeah, I think it was missing a bit of emotional connection for me as well when you had the previous match, and I felt it was a bit of a come down after that as well. The night peaked at that moment, but there wasn't take away from the quality of this match. It was still very, very good. I've gone with a 4-star rating for this one. I think that still very good. I love the ladder match. Love these two performers.
Yeah,
do slightly miss the Demon. I must admit, I did enjoy seeing the entrance and stuff. But like you say, WrestleMania 39 was the last time we saw him, and he lost to Edge in Hell in a Cell. So yeah, he hadn't been booked very strongly for his last few appearances on the main roster. And I think it's got to a stage that I'm sure now, if Balor was asked to do that again, he's in his mid-40s. Would he remember what to do with the Demon at this point? I feel almost like we've moved on now that he's got the Judgment Day.
Yeah, the problem as well is you need that music, because obviously he has an altered entrance music for the Demon as well, and you're kind of you have to kind of try and encapsulate the feeling that the Demon. I'm sure he'll bring it back for a one-off at some point. Like, maybe if he ever turns babyface again and Dom is world champion, like I would love to see it. But the ultimate thing with it is I don't want to see the Demon lose. That's the problem, because the Demon used to be booked so strong, and it was a case of, oh, you're going to mess with Finn Bálor? Well, guess what? The Finn Balor's got an alter ego, and that alter ego is a mean son of a gun that doesn't lose. So, yeah, ultimately, I think if he could bring it back, I just don't think they would, just because he'd still lose.
Yeah, I feel like it's gone past it at this stage, but I wouldn't mind seeing the three faces of Balor in a Royal Rumble one year: Smiley Finn, Judgment Finn, and Demon Finn. Give me all three.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Dave Meltzer's give this a 4.25 star rating, and yeah, it's certainly a strong way to win the show there with Finn Balor, Demon Balor, holding up the championship. But that leads us then to asking those major questions as we go off air. What was your OMG moment of the night?
Yeah, the back body drop where Owens landing on the ladder sideways, because it's always rough to watch.
I'm going to go with that hand of Bayley's put in between the LED board and the ring steps. Just the idea of the broken hand for me. I remember how much I winced the first time watching that match, and still did a little bit of a wince this time out. Match of the night, Bayley Sasha.
No, Bayley Sasha, easy,
isn't it? Entrance of the night. There was quite a few of them, really, when you go back and look at it.
Balor, Demon. So, like, I haven't seen it in so long. I was infatuated by it. It's such a good thing to see. Like, when you've got like 4 other people dressed up as the Demon trying to pop up in random spaces, they put the effort in for that entrance.
They do indeed. Obviously, Balor is fantastic with the Demon, but let's not forget we've got Hugger Bayley with a tube buddies. Bayley coming out of the Sasha, coming out of the Range Rover. Tyler Breeze doing his catwalk to the ring. You've got the Vaudevillains doing their shtick from the 80s, but that stuff was really fun as well. There was some really fun entrances on this show, but I think I'm going to have to agree with you. I think it's got to be the Demon. It's a special entrance when we see it, and like you say, it's been a long time since we've seen it as well. MVP of the show.
I went with the Vaudevillains just purely on the basis that, look, that character is not easy to get over. It's not easy to get characters over in general nowadays. Those guys, the crowd wanted them to win those tag team titles, and like I said, for the stick that they put on the whole 1800s circus wrestling, boxing, whatever they're supposed to be, to get themselves over on a takeover, I thought was fantastic. I could have easily gone Bayley, I could have easily gone Sasha, I could have easily gone Balor or Owens or whoever. I thought I'd give it to the Vaudevillains.
It's a fair shout, certainly a fair shout. And for me, I could simply go with the easy answer and say Bayley and Sasha, because I think that they, like I said, really changed the game. But to give a different answer, I'm giving it to Brooklyn. I genuinely thought from start to finish that crowd was up for it, and they enhanced every moment. Everything that was special given to them, they made it even more special going forward. And I know it's green t-shirt guy as we go to WWE shows.
He was there, yeah.
He was there in the front row as well. So, shout out to that. Final rating for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, New York.
6.5. It's a 2-match card, really. You can skip the first 4 matches and just go and watch the main 2. It's what this show is really all about. You can turn a 2-hour and 40-odd minute show into about 40 minutes. Yeah.
It's a 7 out of 10 for me for the exact same reason.
Yeah.
So that's our review of NXT TakeOver New York, of course, from Brooklyn. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, share with a friend, subscribe as well, all that good stuff, and keep an eye on the channel as well. More rewinds will be on the way. You can check out, of course, in the archives and a playlist of our former rewinds as well. Thanks for watching. Look after yourselves and each other, and we will see you for the next one.